Sheena Ringo, we are continuing our track by track listen through to So So Strip, the second album from the beloved artist. And now we are on to the song Identity. And this is interesting because I really like that on so many of the songs on the official Sheena Ringo channel, they have the official translation and the original title, which I really like that. But when a song just comes up with just an English title, this song was titled in English in all regions. So let's check it out. I mean, we've just come out of a Driving Rain in Darkness, Yamini Furu Ame. And the interesting thing about that was a song that very much kind of kept a bit of a level, and it had a sort of tension that ran throughout, and it was the second of two very long songs. You've got to remember that if you're listening to this album all the way through, the last 11 minutes have come from just two quite tense songs. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this 3-minute song bursts out of that, especially considering, again, this was ramped into by a distorted building ending at the end of the last song. So anyway, let's get straight into it, check it out, see what we think. Loving that drum beat. That's a strong chorus. I'm liking that second layer guitar. I am loving the energy of this. The interplay between the vocals, the bass, and the guitar is just so well made. This song is this is a really strong rock song. Again, breaking down to this distortion at the end.
Looks like she can predict what will be required of him next.
That is really interesting. This song is definitely very different from anything else on the album thus far. I mean, you could say that it has a little bit of the straight rock energy that Gibbs at least indicates to, but yeah, the song is so different. For a start, this is the first song on the album which is kind of broken free. I say free of, I don't want to say that like I'm talking negatively about the songs prior, but this is the first song to really feel like it's deviated from that mid-tempo soundscape vibe that the album's had. I mean, even Gibbs, is the piano steady, and it has those big changes in the chorus, but it is an album that's it's a song that's very much got a sense of mid-tempo dramatic soundscaping. This is the first song really that just felt like it came out the blocks trying to sound urgent, trying to sound like it's actually got a bit of a panic to it, a little bit of a sense of, oh, I need to say this right now, rather than the kind of introspective, thoughtful vibe that most of the rest of the album has. This feels very much like it's got an urgency to it, which would probably explain why the song starts off with this kind of high-pitched scream that she appears to be holding. I was wondering for a second, it sounds like it's a voice. Could it be distortion from an amp? And it's like, no, that's her voice. So, the song immediately kicks in with this really strong energy. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out, and I mean this actually as more of just a positive observation, again, not meant in any negative way, but I am once again feeling like many, many points on this album, I'm feeling a sense that she seems to have gathered or heard a lot of sounds from Western pop rock in the late 90s, because so much of the tonality of this song is really, really reminiscent. I'm hearing things like that. I hate to bring up a Blur reference again, because I did that in an earlier song in this series, but there were elements of Song 2 that I'm hearing in this. The way that the bass is kind of being very prominent, just the whole sense of structure, even though this song is obviously a little bit more complicated than Song 2, which is a deliberately simple song. This still kind of has a lot of those same energies and vibes, the ways that things are layered in this. It feels reminiscent of a lot of other sort of Western, I think the word that is used is post-punk or post-grunge or whatever songs. This really kind of feels like it has a lot of those things going on there. And yet, as I think is probably the best thing that we can say about most of what Sheena Ringo does in her songs, is you can hear her inspirations, and yet the way she puts the songs together, she ends up producing something which is so quintessentially and uniquely her that it's really charming. This album, you can definitely hear the inspirations all the way through, and yet she's producing an end product that is just so wonderfully unique. And a big part of that for me was, first of all, starting off with that scream sound. I'm not sure if I necessarily would say I liked it, but it certainly set the tone. It was a little bit like, oh, what's happening in my ears? And yet at the same time, it sets the tone. It certainly is a very Sheena Ringo way to approach things, emotionally raw. And it's not like a bad sound, it's just kind of a bit weird at first. And then when the song settles in, you have this fantastically energetic and urgent chorus. Yes, the chorus does kind of repeat a lot, but it repeats a lot and then has a final little cadence where it builds up and then bam, straight back into the riff again. It's a song that is very well structured, simple, but with those delicacies. And I think one of the main ways you could really tell how well constructed this song was is when you're listening to things like the chorus and the bass is doing something very different from the guitar, which is doing something very different from the vocals, and you start realizing for such a simple, raw kind of punkish rock song, it actually is extremely layered. This is a sort of song you could come back and listen to repeatedly just because there's so much happening at any one time that it actually doesn't just feel like dumb fun. It actually feels like a really engaging rock song. I think the chorus was around here. So right there, you've got the bass. Yeah, it's walking around. You've got a guitar on one side, which is playing the chords, and then you've got another guitar walking down, doing a harmony, and at the same time you've got Sheena doing the vocal line. It's basically got four counter melodies or four counter phrases of music happening at the same time. Let's just go back and just again listen to that. You've got four things happening at once. If you put this on without thinking about it, you just go dumb punk fun rock song, yeah. But if you listen to it, and then the way it builds up and throws you back into the riff. For me, the funny thing is that this song, you could argue that it doesn't... sorry, dying still. You could argue this song doesn't have as many of the clever production, soundscaping, and other things that a lot of the other songs on the album have. But I would argue that this song probably has some of the most impressive writing so far. This is a very impressively written song because, once again, what it does is quite simple. What it does is quite simple and effortless sounding, but if you actually look under the surface, it's just very well structured. And it's, blasts through its 3 minutes incredibly quickly. I just honestly thought this was a really enjoyable song. A bit of a simple pleasure, but I think if you take a simple target and you 110% it, that's more impressive than taking something really complicated and getting it about 80% right. So for me, I got to say, I think that she put in a lot of nuance and detail and really made this kind of song from dumb fun into something exceptionally interesting. Actually, while I was saying that, I suddenly realised I was saying sort of like dumb fun, but I kind of realised as well, for a song that's so urgent, there was a few lines that I picked up on that were a bit of a surprise. So I did just quickly go and read the lyrics. And yeah, I should have mentioned that before. The song definitely has a vibe of being very... It's panicky lyrically as well. The lyrics are a lot about kind of a sense of discomfort and everything. So the song is not just the song is not just a good rock song. It is actually a song that lyrically and meaning wise does also match up with what we're hearing sonically through the song and the writing and the tone and the musicianship and all those things. Anyway, there you go. Those are my thoughts. As always, get in the comments and let me know what you think. And until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these, for now, ciao ciao.